An absolute stunner in Miami. The Jazz dominate from about 4 minutes into the first quarter for the rest of the night, lead by as many as 43 at one point, and blow out the Heat. We're talking about it next on POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Craziness. Absolute craziness, Ron Boone. It was 22-22 at the end of one. The Jazz had dominated the final 8 or 9 minutes of that quarter, but it was still 22-22. And then the Jazz proceeded to outscore the Heat over the next 24 minutes of basketball, 76-44. 76-44. What happened?
It started in that second quarter. I was scoring 40-19 in that second quarter, and just give up on anything. The Heat were not able to knock down some shots. Now some of those shots was contested, but they just didn't have the execution that they needed, I think, in order to cut into the lead. In the meantime, the Jazz was rolling.
We talked to Evan Bradds at halftime. He said he started on the defensive end. The game plan without Jimmy Butler, who had been suspended for 7 games, this was their first game back, was to double team Tyler Herro off the picks and off the actions. And it really seemed to discombobulate everything Miami was doing, because it not only somehow eliminated Tyler Herro, but it also meant that Bam Adebayo somehow wasn't getting the ball where he's used to getting it, and he wasn't a part of the game.
And he didn't even get a field goal there, David, in the ball game, if I remember
8,
correctly. Yes, he did not get a field goal in the ball game, and that made a big difference. Now, we had asked this question, I think you and I talked about, whether or not Tyler Herro can handle the double teams and being the guy that they wanted to double team, maybe take the ball out of his hand. What kind of player was he going to be? And we just showed right now that probably can handle that he's more, I think, from what I'm seeing, that more of a very good, probably one of the better support players in the league.
I think that's a fair point on him. And also they're starting, this is where they just looked really short. Terry Rozier's having a bad year shooting. Haywood Highsmith is not a shooter. Nikola Jovic did hit some shots for them. He was kind of their one bright spot, but the Jazz took advantage of the roster that Miami has right now. Early substitutions by Spoelstra didn't do any good on it, and then the Jazz got rolling. Then the Jazz offense clicked in. The Jazz offense in the second quarter goes 17 of 22. They went 12 of 24 in the third quarter, so they were 29 of 46 there. They started to hit some threes as well after going 2 of 11. They went 4 of 7 in that quarter, and then went hit 7 more in the third, and it all started rolling offensively. And really very balanced attack, which I thought was the most impressive part about it.
And the Heat, lack of size. They don't have any size there. And I think right now, looking at the roster and looking at the direction of this team, they're going to have to develop where. I mean, he's the 15th pick in the draft. He's 7 foot. You can stretch the floor. You know, we saw him shoot the threes. As a matter of fact, his numbers say that he can shoot the three. But I think they're going to have to develop him in order to going forward.
All right, let's talk about the Jazz. One of the things they really worked on tonight was taking advantage of the poor defensive players, Tyler Herro, Duncan Robinson. They worked on isolation at shoot-around today, worked on isolation spacing at shoot-around. And it's interesting, when you think of isolation, you think of one-on-one action, but the isolation tonight created ball movement.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about the spacing and getting the defense to scramble. You have to recover. You're passing, the defense is awfully scrambling, and then all of a sudden you got a very good look, or you're getting to the rim. Simple. It's a simple offense. But getting the defense to scramble, and it's all about the ball movement.
Frankly, some of that may reduce some turnovers too, right? If you're that's a simplification that may allow you to taking things away. One of the reasons we have so many turnovers, we're running so many off-ball screens, we're running so many actions, we're creating movement away from the ball to create the advantage, and then the ball's got to get there, and then. You know, a lot of times I watch some of our turnovers, and they're guys trying to get the ball into the right spot. They're trying to get the ball to someone, and knowing that the play is take advantage of the switch, get it down to John Collins. And this is a lot simpler, right? Like you're driving one-on-one on your guy, and a help guy comes, and you just hit your guy. It gets, and then then you have them in rotation. Now these are much easier, more basic passes.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because sometimes your offense is clicking like that, and you're getting exactly what you want, like the Jazz did tonight. You're scoring and everything's falling in. Then there's other times when the defense is kind of taking away some of that stuff, and that's when you come up with turnovers, or you're trying to beat guys off the dribble and you get it stripped. I mean, it's just, again, this game is on paper is simple. Players make it difficult, and good offensive players make it hard.
All right, let's look at a few things tonight at halftime. 21 shots at the rim out of their 53 shots, while also shooting 18 threes. That's pretty awesome. That's 39 of your 53 shots are either at the rim or threes. You mentioned it. Miami does not have shot blockers. They blocked 4 shots in the first quarter, but they only averaged 3 a game. It did look as though the Jazz really were taking advantage of that.
Yeah, and not only that, they were able to keep balls alive there when shots were missed. The Jazz ended up with how many offensive rebounds? 28 of 18 offensive rebounds. I think they averaged somewhere around 12 or 13. So they were able to, come up with those second chances, at the rim. But, the Heat does not have any size. It's going to be awfully difficult for them. As you mentioned, that you think they're more of a play-in team?
I think they're, I don't know. We'll see without Jimmy Butler, see what they get. And I don't think they're going to be able to get a lot for Jimmy Butler. I think it's a really interesting circumstance for them. The other one that at halftime, and I'm just picking, honestly, like the Jazz literally dominate every statistical category at halftime, and then they continue to. They won by 40 or 36. They led by as many as 43 at one point. At halftime, Ron, the Jazz had gotten 50% of their misses as their own rebounds. Walker Kessler was a force inside, but there was a great rebound by Keontae who came down for a rebound. There was just a ton of energy and juice from the Jazz on a bunch of these plays last night or tonight, and rebounding was just a mammoth part of this.
And John Collins really makes a big difference. He gives Walter Kessler a lot of help, as far as rebounding the basketball. Both of those guys ended up with 12 of the 18 offensive rebounds that the Jazz had, and it was the 16. So they ended up with 12 of the Jazz's 16 offensive rebounds between those two. Yeah.
16 offensive rebounds off 27 misses, by the way, just if you want to start kind of doing that you're grabbing a lot of them. The Jazz had 9 offensive rebounds in the first half off 18 misses. So they ended up actually getting over 50% of the available rebounds there tonight on the offensive glass. That is a sign of pure domination tonight. We have not talked about individual players much because I just don't feel like this was an individual player game. I feel like they collectively did a lot. But let's talk about Brice Sensabaugh a little bit.
He was phenomenal. His confidence level got better and bigger and better and bigger, and to the point where he was shooting off the dribble, was taking guys off the dribble, dribbling all the way to the floor. He was feeling it so good that he came down in transition and pulled up a 3-point shot. Didn't go in, but guys get in a zone like that and they feel like, boy, it's going. This is my night. I'm going to make the next shot. And he did have it going. What did he end up with? His shooting percentage, 12 for 16. Was that 18 from the field, 7 for 11 from the 3-point line.
This is his second night going over 20 recently. It's like there's an interesting thing for Brice. He's got to learn how to play defense. They want him to rebound. He had 7 rebounds, and I'm sure 7 or 8 rebounds, and I'm sure that will be something Will Hardy talks about. I think he had 4 defensive steals tonight. Those are things the coaches worry about. On the other end, like his moneymaker is his jump shot. He is a shooter. He can score. And so, worry about those other things and develop those things. But at some point, just go back to your moneymaker. Like your money, like you got a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. Or now I guess in this day and age, 103-mile-an-hour fastball.
Throw it.
I got right. Like at some point, just go to it. And like Brice, that's his moneymaker is that shot.
Yeah, and it's from all over the floor too. He doesn't discriminate. I was looking at something like that today. It's he likes the corner. Not the corners, but up above the break threes. 60, what he's taking 6 for 23 and 10 for 23 from those corner threes.
Well, those,
up above the break threes. Right?
Those are pretty good numbers overall in the night. Well, the Jazz end up shooting 52% from the field. Let me try to put this in a little bit of perspective, and some of these numbers got skewed by the end. Jazz shot 9 of 31 in the first quarter. So after the first quarter, they went 43 of 69. 43 of 69 from the field. I think that's 67%. Just kind of doing it off the top of my head. It's right around there. And from 3, they went 2 of 11 to start the night and then finished 17 of their next 35. I can do the math on that. 17 of 35 is a little under 50%. So really remarkable from the second quarter on the Jazz shot, plus 60, nearly 50% from three, and just a dominating performance.
How would you like to be the Heat? They shot 74% in the fourth quarter, 14 of 19, and they only make up 4 points.
Did they make up 4 points or lose 4 points?
They made up 4 points.
No, they lost 4 points.
Huh? They only made up 4 points.
No, they lost 4 points.
Oh, 4 points. Yeah, only. What am I thinking? Yeah,
Yeah,
they
we won the fourth
Right,
quarter.
we won, but only and still lose
Right.
a quarter. Put it that
Yeah,
way.
it's crazy.
My
All
numbers
right,
are going.
reliability.
All of them. Everybody gets a liability
Really?
score, including
Jordan
Lacey.
Clarkson for
Lacey gets one too.
How about Jordan Clarkson for Planet?
Everybody gets a.
Everyone
yeah.
probably deserves one tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of time. You're gonna give one to Micah Potter for 0 for 3.
Absolutely. Everybody gets one.
You win by 40. New rule: when you win by 36 or more, everyone gets a reliability plus.
Including Lacey.
Yeah, last time we did this, we lost our next game by 40.
Oh boy.
I don't think Orlando can score enough to beat us by 40, frankly. Orlando is just so injured, but who knows? That was awesome. That was stunning, and that was awesome. And really kind of blown away by the performance and the night and what was happening and the ball movement and the execution and the receptiveness to the coaching and the everything. Really, really impressive.
Maybe it has something to do with South Beach, huh?
Usually goes the other way, Ron.
No, oh, it does, doesn't it?
2 days off in South Beach does not usually yield to outstanding energy performances on an NBA floor. Just saying.
Just saying.
For Ron and I, we're on our game. We're on our game, I tell you, because we're not South Beaching. I found the greatest. Can I share you one thing? I just got to share this with everyone. So I found a sandwich shop today in South Beach. Peruvian sandwich shop. And they're like, it said tucked in the back in a market. I was like, okay, sure. So I go in, it's a market. It's not a sandwich shop. There's these two women. I walk in, I was like, menu. They're like, I realized, okay, I am the only person in this room that speaks any English. So I'm like, sandwich. They're like, no menu. Chicken, pork, or beef. Like, I don't know what accent I'm using. Chicken, pork, or beef. And I was like, okay, I now have learned the 3 words of English that this woman knows. So I'm like,
and she just let you know
so
what the menu was.
So then I, of course, having to be extra, say, well, what do you think? And she looks at me like, come on, dude, just give me the answer. So I blew it because I should have said yes and just had all of them. But I had pork, and it was the greatest sandwich. It was so amazing. And it's like this market, and then it was just tucked in the very back. And they like make sandwiches. You would never know that they even made sandwiches. It was such an awesome experience.
But she gave you the menu.
Yes, chicken, beef, or pork.
You
That's it.
need a menu.
There was no menu. Chicken, beef, pork. I was like, all right, I got it. All right, that is it. Have a great one. Enjoy yourself. See you tomorrow.
Tomorrow night.
It's 24.